So, like most people, I've played my fair share of first-person shooter games, FPS for short, ranging from being a 12-year-old in an MW2 lobby like 10 years ago listening to middle-aged men yell slurs at each other, to tryharding ranked mode in Overwatch, and which I mauled to the point of having gray hairs at the age of 21. FPS games are immensely popular, and the numbers don't lie. Mass amounts of people spend hundreds or even thousands of hours grinding away in various games just to see the little badge next to their name become a slightly shinier color. The tryhard nature of FPS games just shows how much being the best at something really matters to people, and the effort they are willing to give in order to get there. Whether it's the sweet satisfaction of clutching in the last 10 seconds to secure a win, or just literally being addicted to the point of having no actual life outside the game, players will just keep coming back without fail, time and time again. Depending on the game, raw aim talent is arguably the most important aspect when it comes to being skilled at a said game, meaning that it's something that a lot of people work to seriously improve within their own gameplay. This is very evident by the mass popularity of high customizable aim training programs such as the likes of Kovacs or Aim Lab on Steam, which allow you to set the ideal scenario or event to personalize your individual aim practice. So there is no denying that the demand for these sorts of tools is very prevalent within the online gaming community. Remember that one dude with blue hair that played Fortnite with Drake that one time and was seen by every 13-year-old as the greatest gamer to ever touch the earth? Yeah, that dude. Ninja. Yeah. Well, in 2019, he wrote a book about gaming, in which he cited Osu to be a great way to improve your aim in FPS games, along with complaining about the game's vibrant colors, and get this, the music. Does this man not know what a rhythm game is? And does he not know about skins? You can probably guess, but the reaction from the community was not very positive, and honestly for a good reason in my opinion. Many of the people who claim Osu to be a great aim trainer seem to have barely played the game at all. It's pretty easy to tell that most people in the Osu community hold the opinion that Osu aim doesn't translate well into first-person shooter aim, but I wanted to be sure just of what the numbers were like, so I put out a poll on my YouTube channel asking people what their opinions were of this. To probably nobody's surprise, over 3/4 of the people who answered were of the opinion that playing Osu offers no improvement or just slight improvement to FPS aim. Most of the community seems to be in agreement on this subject. The public opinion is that if you want to get good at games like Valorant, then playing Osu isn't going to help you reach your goals. Seeing as, from the Osu community's point of view, this seems like a pretty one-sided argument, so why do so many FPS players claim that Osu is such a great aim trainer? For starters, just by taking one look at the game from the perspective of someone who's never played it before, it's evident that a solid amount of precision is required to effectively play maps that are above beginner level. If you've been playing Osu for a long time, you might have actually just forgotten how much brand new players actually struggle on the simplest of maps, and how much of building up muscle memory specifically for the skill set of Osu is something entirely different from that required to play FPS games. When I started playing Osu, I was god-awful just like everyone else who starts, yet I had been playing FPS games for years at that point and was already comfortable with aiming. If these skill sets were transferable, people such as 10Z, one of the best Valorant players in the world with god-tier mechanics, should be really skilled at Osu, right? He's 6-digit and has a pretty normal playtime to performance points ratio. Nothing about how good his shooter aim is seems to be abnormally making his Osu gameplay much different to anyone else who spends about the same amount of time playing it. Examples like this just nail in the point that just because you have good mechanics in Osu or an FPS game doesn't mean that it will directly transfer to the other. With that being said, this isn't to say that there aren't exclusively zero benefits to using Osu as a way to polish up your mouse mechanics, and I will talk about that later, but we need to understand why this is the case. Everyone who talks about this subject uses the simple phrase, 3D aim is different than 2D aim, but what does that exactly mean? Essentially, in a 2D environment such as Osu, you're moving your cursor around a field of view to various parts of your screen in order to hit the designated target. With 3D aim, your cursor is locked into a static position in the center of the screen, in which you're essentially moving the environment to your cursor. I think this excerpt from the website aiming.pro summarizes the differences better than I could. Due to the way that 3D environments create the perception of depth, any training completed in a 2D environment will not be helpful for playing 3D games. When you move your cursor in any direction, you're rotating around a point in 3D space. Objects nearer to the rotation point require a greater amount of mouse movement to move to, versus those at the same X and Y coordinates, but at a greater Z coordinate. In a 2D environment, a target 8 inches away from your crosshair will take exactly double the mouse movement to hit as a target 4 inches away. This is not true for 3D environments. There is a non-linear relationship between how far a target is from your crosshair and how far you need to move your mouse to hit it. So essentially in 2D aim, you only really have to worry about adjusting your aim for the 2-axis, contrary to the 3D aim where there is an added layer of depth that complicates your precision and consistency with aim. Basically, if you're playing a multiplayer game, how far away your enemy is to you is going to make a drastic difference in how much you actually need to move your mouse. The farther away an enemy is, the more minute you have to make your mouse adjustments, meaning that you won't have to move your mouse as far. So now that we know that 2D aim and 3D aim are much different because 2D aim is mostly linear, does this mean that Osu is not good for anything except training 2D mouse precision? So far, I may have come across as if I'm of the opinion that playing Osu will never under any circumstances be beneficial to training aim in other games, which I ultimately don't believe to be 100% true. If we look at the poll results that I mentioned earlier, it seems that a lot of people would agree with me on this, seeing as most people said that they think Osu has a slight improvement on FPS aim. Personally, I do think that if you are someone who is not well versed in or does not have an intuitive understanding in precise mouse adjustment or is new to PC gaming in general, I think that playing Osu can be slightly beneficial in the sense that it will help you become more used to making the required movements that are required for most games, which seem to be mostly fundamental. It also should be noted that to play at your peak potential in a game, Osu or otherwise, a solid warm-up for your hands is important, and it is entirely possible to warm up your hands by playing Osu, even if you switch games right after. A sentiment that a lot of people commented about in the comments section of my poll was that they felt that playing Osu really helped upgrade their reaction time. Personally, I've never really felt the effects of Osu increasing my reaction time, and I'm unsure if anyone has actually tested this theory, but it is a potential benefit of playing Osu. Ultimately, different people have different experiences on how Osu affects the way they play other games, but most people seem to be in agreement that the skill sets are not very transferable and that the benefits of playing Osu are minuscule in regards to playing FPS games. Again, this doesn't mean that playing Osu doesn't increase your hand-eye coordination or generally just allow you to feel better using a mouse, but the skill sets in general are not transferable and won't really have a direct translation. Thank you for watching this video. If you have something to say or even disagree with something that I brought up in this video, please leave a comment and I'll be glad to read those. Also, if anyone has something in specific they'd like me to talk about or just video ideas in general, feel free to comment those as well. I would really appreciate that. Anyways, thanks again for watching and I will see you guys in the next one.